All right, so we're back with another video talking about arm weight at the piano. Do we talk about anything else? We do, but it's a very important concept. So what I wanted to do today is, I saw this recording of Rubinstein from 1947, long time ago, performing Chopin's Grand Polonaise. And I saw it, and it was just such a beautiful example of exactly the way I teach. And the concepts we talk about a lot. I wanted to share it. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch the recording with sound, regular speed, and then we're going to watch it with sound, but at 1/4 speed, so slowed down. And it's so perfectly obvious. He's lifting and dropping into the keys. Now this goes back to a video I made about arm weight and gravity, a long time ago, and some of the comments. So we're going to just take a brief moment to just kind of talk about this a little bit. So a lot of the comments were, one, you can't lift and drop and be accurate when you're playing chords, octaves, things like that. Well, interestingly enough, I would say that, you don't have to lift your hand this high, but he does it and it's accurate. Like, watch recordings of Rubinstein. I mean, he doesn't do it everything, obviously. Sometimes you don't have time to do that, or depending on what it is, the context of the music. But he often does that, and he does that in this recording. And it's accurate. He's not missing notes. So, another comment that people had, and this is specifically why I wanted to kind of address this, is they said, no, he's not lifting and dropping into the keys. He's positioning his hand. He's sort of torquing his arms, torquing his, arms and energy into the keyboard, and then his hands are coming up, and that's basically helping the tension or the torque dissolve, and I don't know, something like that. And that's not what he's doing. Some people try to play like that, and you can kind of do that. It's harder, I think, but he's clearly not doing that. It's very, very clear. A lot of other people said, no one plays like this, etc. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and watch the video, because to me it's a perfect example, again, exactly of what we've been talking about. So here is the first recording, and this is at normal speed, okay? So he plays a scale, he's playing, it's pretty fast. It's kind of hard, but you can see those chords. He's obviously lifting and coming down. Now, when you see it in slow-mo, what you'll actually notice is that his hand accelerates downward, which I would say implies that he's dropping, because it will get faster the more it drops. Like, especially those chords, da, da. I mean, it's just so clear. Okay, so a couple things to notice about this. You'll see, again, he lifts really high, and when you listen to the audio, he's not missing notes. It's very accurate, okay? So I think that, at first it can be harder to play like that, because if you're used to striking the keys from the surface, it's harder to just, drop like that. However, that being said, that doesn't mean that you can't do it. And in the long run, what you're trading is a little bit of work to, get the coordination and the accuracy. And what you're getting out of that is you're getting, an easier time playing, not fatiguing, and actually better sound. Now, we're not going to get too caught up in his sound, because this is a recording from, 80-something years ago. So it's not great audio quality, so we're not going to get caught up in it. But we do know there's a lot of people who heard him live who said he had glorious sound. So, but we're not going to get too caught up in that. Okay, so let's watch the slowed down version of that. Okay, his wrist releases at the top. When he moves position, it's always this sort of arcing shape coming up here. Look at those drops. Look at that. Look at that. Another thing to notice too, sometimes he's striking the keys from a little bit closer, but you can definitely see this very vertical aspect of up and down. Lift, drop, drop. See that? Drop, drop, drop. Look at that. So to me, it's very clear that he's using weight, he's using gravity, he's lifting and he's dropping, and he's playing in a very efficient way. And what's interesting about this, and important, and I wanted to take some time to actually make a video on it, talk about it, is because I remember when I made that original short, and I had a bunch of clips with Rubinstein, talked about gravity and arm weight and dropping and stuff. One person in particular said, no, Rubinstein didn't play like that, blah, blah, whatever. And they were talking about like whipping the keys or something. And basically, I kind of responded with some different information. And one of the things that I said is, well, actually, Pollini tells a story about how Rubinstein told him, the secret to my technique is weight. And basically this person responded by saying, well, he just said in a very general way what everyone said at the time. And I think that's interesting, because I think that that method of playing or thinking about technique used to be more common, actually, because it used to be more widely taught. Nowadays, it's not as widely taught, although most professors at universities and things like that are very in tune with the idea of weight. Now, they might think it's fingers, then you use weight when you want certain kinds of effects. But they understand that it is a useful concept, and this idea of getting rid of tension and things like that. So, and that's an encouraging thing that people are becoming more aware of it, because you have this tradition which goes back to Liszt, okay, where it was just interpretation. And I've heard stories about how this young pianist was invited to come play for Liszt, and he missed some notes. It may have been a she, I don't remember, but this young pianist missed some notes, and so Liszt was like, no, get out of here. And so that style of teaching, not the rudeness, if someone misses notes, but the style of teaching where it's all interpretation, that is very common in these universities, in conservatories. It's becoming a little less common because I think so many people are having so many problems, especially with the music that's been written over the past 150 years that's insanely difficult. The instrument is bigger, sturdier, the touch weight is heavier, all these kinds of things. And the reason why I say this about Liszt, important note, is that there's actually lots of transcripts of lessons that people had with Liszt. And there's not really, okay, let me clarify, not really. There's no information about technique. And I think it's probably because Liszt was, it was easy for him in the sense that it wasn't a struggle like it is for so many people. And so he just assumed that, well, you just practice and you get there. So to me, when I watch this recording of Rubinstein play, to me it's so clear how he's taking advantage of weight, falling weight, gravity, and it has this effortless look to it. It just looks very clean and beautiful, and it looks easy. It has an ease to it. So a lot of times people are afraid of practicing in this way, and I think that a really big emphasis on the vertical aspect of playing the piano, so maybe lifting and dropping on every single note, and say, forget about playing legato, we're just going to play everything like that. Or, even when you play any interval, you just really lift and drop on it, whatever it is. It really helps, get rid of that anxiety, because people, they're kind of afraid of that. It's like, oh, I'm afraid that I'm going to miss notes. But again, you watch Rubinstein play. He's not missing notes. And so it's a little bit more work at first, but the benefits far outweigh the amount of work that you're going to put into it. And I can just tell you from experience, it is so much easier to play. It is so much easier to play, and you know, experiencing, you know, being able to play and not get fatigued in the first, you know, 30 or 45 minutes because you're trying to do too much with parts of your body that are not meant to do all that, okay? So I hope that that was enlightening. I hope it was interesting. If you have any questions or comments, put them down below. Always love hearing from you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.